It was a beautiful day in Westminster, yet also one burdened by the weight of history. Amid the symbols of Britain's great power past, a bid to stop the return of a world carved up by strongmen and dictators. The setting, Lancaster House, where Britain, America and the Soviet Union agreed on the future of Europe at the end of the Second World War.
We gather here today because this is a once-in-a-generation moment for the security of Europe, and we all need to stay up.
Italy's leader, Giorgia Meloni, came to Downing Street first. Her country is not regarded as whiter than white on defence spending, though she is trying to increase it. She's also the only European leader who attended Donald Trump's inauguration.
Well, George, you're very welcome.
A key ally in Keir Starmer's drive to get America militarily involved in any ceasefire in Ukraine. And today she didn't mince her words.
I think it is very, very important that we avoid the risk that the West divides. And I think on this, UK and Italy can play an important role in bridge building, let's say.
Yeah.
So you know that I've been also proposing a meeting between US and European leaders for if we divide ourselves, that will make us all weaker.
Yeah.
In fact, there's no shortage of bridge builders, with Emmanuel Macron on the job as well.
Can Europe defend itself without America, Mr. President?
Gone are the days when a British leader would have envied a French president for getting to Washington first. Now it's the more the merrier. Anybody who can persuade Mr. Trump not to walk away.
European countries have to do more and provide a security guarantee, and that's what I'm discussing with President Macron and others. It's what I'll be discussing today. But I've always been clear that that is going to need a US backstop, because I don't think it would be a guarantee without it. I don't think it would be a deterrence without it. So the two have to go together.
But during Friday's Oval Office bust-up, it looked and sounded as if Ukraine's leader was being bullied into a ceasefire on America's and Russia's terms.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards. You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
This morning, Mr. Trump was heading off to his golf course in Florida, the Nobel Peace Prize he seeks seemingly further out of reach. While Volodymyr Zelenskyy was being comforted in London by a fellow Trump target, Justin Trudeau of Canada. The US president wants access to the mineral wealth of both countries, and American officials are still urging Zelenskyy to sign up to a minerals deal.
Well, I haven't had any contact with him since Friday. We have plenty of contacts with him, though. He wanted to come over on Friday to sign this commercial deal. That didn't happen. And the sooner everyone grows up around here and figures out that this is a bad war that's heading in a bad direction with death and destruction and all kinds of dangers surrounding it that could spiral into a broader conflict, the sooner people grow up and realize that, I think the more progress we're going to be able to make.
And for those who don't believe in reincarnation, witness Peter Mandelson, now our man in Washington, backing Donald Trump's point of view.
George, it is the only show in town. It's the only negotiation available, and it's got to be made to work. And that's what we in Britain are very committed to help bring about. I do think it would be a good idea if he signed the economic and commercial deal put forward by the United States. And the reason I say that is, quite apart from the economic gain that Ukraine will derive from that, it will also give the United States a stake in Ukraine's future.
Last night, Russian drones hit a house in southwestern Ukraine, a reminder of what is at stake here 3 years after Russia's invasion. And the Russians are far more keen to strike a deal with Mr. Trump to end it than to involve the Europeans at all.
Now they are talking about peacekeepers. They say, we are training thousands of people that they will be provided with air cover. This is arrogance, because nobody is asking us. But Trump, he understands everything.
Meanwhile, Mr. Zelenskyy flew from Westminster to Sandringham to meet the King. While Europe's backing for him could not be clearer tonight, America's still hangs in the balance.
Well, here's what the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said as she was leaving.
We have to put Ukraine in a position of strength, that it has the means to fortify and protect itself from the economic survival to the military resilience. It's basically turning Ukraine into a steeled porcupine that is indigestible for potential invaders. We urgently have to rearm Europe. And for that, I will present a comprehensive plan how to rearm Europe on the 6th of March, when we have our European Council to the leaders.
Well, the press conference with Keir Starmer is about to begin any moment, and we'll go to it when he comes out. But in the meantime, let's discuss what's been happening with the Ukrainian MP Alexei Goncharenko and Rachel Ellahus, who's Director General at the think tank RUSI, and who was Principal Director for NATO Policy and Europe at the US Defense Department during President Trump's first term. Rachel Ellahus first. Let's assume that we're about to get a statement of unity. We've got a hint of that from the European Commission President. Where does that take us?
Let me first say that it's really reassuring to see Europeans coming together like this. You had the President of the Commission, the head of NATO, you even had Turkey there, as well as Canada. So this is exactly what many Europeans and Americans have been asking for a long time, is to step up, to take ownership, help Ukraine stay in the fight, begin to rearm Europe. So I think that's the contours of a potential deal that we're seeing here, a commitment for Europe to step up, but to keep Ukraine in the fight until a credible deal's on the table.
Yes, now, Alexei Goncharenko, I mean, we've heard from Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador in America, that Britain wants Zelensky to go and sign the deal, as he was ready to do on Friday. It's just a framework, isn't it, for a deal? I mean, do you think that should happen quickly now? Should he go back to Washington tomorrow and go and sign it?
Yeah, if you can come back to Washington tomorrow and to get out of what had happened on Friday, that would be great. We need United States of America. We need it. And we need this country as our key ally. So we can't lose the United States. What had happened on Friday is bad for the United States. It's very bad for Europe, and it's catastrophic for Ukraine. The only one person who was happy is Vladimir Putin. So we need to get out of this as quickly as possible.
But you've been very critical of how President Zelensky reacted in that moment. I mean, can he save the day now, or does he need to be replaced? Does he need to go and somebody else take over?
You know, it's not a soccer. Yeah, it's not football where you can just replace some player. He is legitimate president of Ukraine. We can't have elections because we have martial law, and from security point of view, it's just impossible. It's physically impossible to have elections when Russian missiles and drones are falling on the heads of people. And I want to remind you, from 1935 till 1945, there were no elections in the United Kingdom, and it's clear why. And it was not dictatorship, it was democracy, and is democracy, as you know. So we can't just have elections now. It means we can't change President Zelensky. We will have elections after the war will finish. What will happen
so
at
it
the
couldn't
time,
be done by the
Ukrainian
parliament.
people will decide.
So the Ukrainian parliament couldn't just agree on a new person to run the country?
No, it's impossible. President of Ukraine is elected by Ukrainian people, and that is happening on elections. And elections will be after the war. So this war, we will finish with the President Zelensky.
Rachel Ellahus, I mean, it was clear on Friday where the disagreement is, that this framework agreement doesn't go far enough in terms of security guarantees. And it was pretty clear from what Donald Trump said that he's not prepared to go any further. So, I mean, how do you get over that impasse?
Hopefully, European allies, together with Canada and others, can explain why those security backstops are so important. It's easy to forget that this is not the first time that Ukraine has been invaded by Russia. We saw the same thing in 2014. People accepted the pause that gave Russia time to reconstitute its forces, only to come back in 2022. So hopefully those European leaders we saw convening today can explain that we're not asking for that security backstop for no reason. We want it because we've seen this movie before. We need any peace to be sustainable and enduring. And frankly, there are US forces in Europe. So this is actually in the interest of the security of those troops as well. So hopefully that narrative can be conveyed and will get through to the US president.
I mean, so that would require a change in his position. I mean, his position at the moment is, well, if we can sign this deal and get it all through, then there'll be American contractors and American companies in Ukraine, and that will provide some sort of security. And we heard President Zelenskyy on Friday saying, no, it won't, because there were American companies in Ukraine before this latest invasion.
I don't think the markets will react well to that, using contractors and US businesses as security forces. I mean, we're seeing US companies and assets seized across Russia. This is not how you provide credible security guarantees.
Alexei Goncharenko, what do you make of that American position? That it'll all be okay because there'll be American contractors digging minerals out of Ukrainian soil, and that's enough?
Definitely. No, definitely it's not enough. It can be some part of it, but not a major part of it. Definitely we need boots on the ground. The best thing, we need Ukrainian membership in NATO. That's the best thing. If not, some direct treaty with the United States, kind of Japan or South Korea has. If not, it can be a complex of things, including boots on the ground, including economical interests of our allies. It's absolutely okay. I will be happy to see American, British companies working in Ukraine. But itself, just this, definitely is not enough. And we definitely need security guarantees.
So what you're saying is when Ursula von der Leyen, and I presume Keir Starmer's about to say something similar, says Europe is ready to defend democracy, that doesn't have credibility still without the American backstop.
Exactly. I mean, with all respect, I'm very thankful for Europe to support, but you can't intercept Russian missile with a statement or with posting X, you know? You can't destroy Russian tank with it. So we need military support, first thing. Second thing, I can't understand why Europe is not making decision to seize Russian assets, finally, frozen Russian assets. That's something which is completely in European power. They don't need to ask America for this. And I hope maybe today's summit will give us answer at least on this question, which will be very important, because having this money, we can buy weapons in the United States. President Trump will definitely like it. It will help Ukraine to fight and to make Russia to go to negotiation table. I want to tell you, Ukraine needs peace, but it should be a real peace.
Welcome back. Keir Starmer's just started speaking at the Ukraine summit. Let's go straight to it.
From a position of strength, and we are doubling down in our support. Yesterday evening, the UK signed a £2.2 billion loan to provide more military aid to Ukraine, backed not by the British taxpayer, but by the profits from frozen Russian assets. And today I'm announcing a new deal, which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles, which will be made in Belfast, creating jobs in our brilliant defence sector. This will be vital for protecting critical infrastructure now and strengthening Ukraine in securing the peace when it comes. Because we have to learn from the mistakes of the past. We cannot accept a weak deal like Minsk, which Russia can breach with ease. Instead, any deal must be backed by strength. Every nation must contribute to that in the best way that it can, bringing different capabilities and support to the table, but all taking responsibility to act, all stepping up their own share of the burden. So we agreed some important steps today. First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week. And let me be clear, we agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace. Now we need to deliver together. Finally, we agreed that leaders will meet again very soon to keep the pace behind these actions and to keep working towards this shared plan. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. Thank you.